Welcome back to On the Issues. There are more than 30 historic districts throughout Phoenix. Beginning this month, we're going to highlight one historic district on each show and tell you what makes them unique. Today, we're going to meet residents of the Cherry Lynn Historic District, located near 16th Street in Osborne. Joining me now are neighbors Pam Good and Tim Siemens from Cherry Lynn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I got to tell you, what makes this really cool for me is, Pam, you told me you've lived in the neighborhood 18 years.
Yes, I have.
Tim, you've lived there less than a year.
Coming up on a year.
What a great contrast. So let's start with you. Pam, what brought you to Cherry Lynn 18 years ago?
18 years ago, time has flown. It's a beautiful little neighborhood. It's very eclectic, a lot of different types of houses. I talked to several of the neighbors and just got the feel that it was a real small town atmosphere in the middle of a big city, and I loved that.
And it wasn't even historic back then, right?
No, it was not. I was a part of the committee that worked on getting historic designation, and we did that in February of '94.
Wow, that's great. And of course, with historic designation comes the tax breaks, comes the access to money to improve the outside of the house.
Yes.
Have you taken advantage of any of the city upsides of a historic district?
Well, the upsides, yes. I have done quite a bit of the work on my own, but I do know neighbors who have taken advantage of those programs, and it's always nice to have the guidance of the Historic Preservation Office.
That's good to know. And, because for neighbors who may not be in a historic district, I think there's a lot of fear that, oh no, you're going to have government folks looking at the colors and all those sorts of things. But that's not true, is it?
No, in many ways it's less restrictive than several HOAs that we could talk about. But no, they're concerned about the architectural integrity of those homes because they were built between 1928 and 1945, most of them. And so it's important to retain their integrity and keep the district looking historic.
And Pam, what year was your house built?
1930.
1930, one of the earlier houses.
Yes, and I'm only the third owner of that house.
Wow, that's really cool. Tim, you're new to the neighborhood. When was your house built?
1945.
And now what's unique about Cherry Lynn is that you have the historic part, but the Cherry Lynn neighborhood is actually bigger than the historic district. And you are technically in the district or outside?
Technically, I am just across the street. I'm on Earl, and Earl is split. Houses on the north side are designated historic, and our section is not designated historic as of yet.
Okay.
As part of that district.
So what brought you to Cherry Lynn?
You know, it's one of those neighborhoods that I've always seen because I've lived in Phoenix most of my life, and I've always noticed that neighborhood and driven through it on occasion and think, someday I'd like to live there. And it was just in the cards, it happened, and now I'm living in the Cherry Lynn district.
Now, you both serve as officers of the Neighborhood Association, correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay, Pam, you're president, Tim, you're vice president?
That's correct.
Okay. Is the goal to expand the historic district component? Is there support in the neighborhood for that?
I think there is actually. When we formed the Neighborhood Association, we expanded it on purpose and it really went all the way to Osborne and down to Pinchot because we knew that some of those homes within those areas that weren't quite ready for historic designation soon would be. And I think that's something that we need to work towards as a neighborhood to preserve those homes as well.
Okay, and do you think there's support in the neighborhood?
I think there is, but also along with just the historic homes on Cherry Lynn and on either street, there's the neighborhood feel runs from Pinchot to Osborne and 16th over to the country club. But there is just a cohesive feeling of neighborhood there, and we're going to try to develop that further.
It's a real neighborhood.
It is.
So what are the biggest issues facing Cherry Lynn right now? Sure, you're a historic district, but you're also in a very urban area. What are the biggest districts facing you guys?
I think from my perspective, being on more the southern end, if you can break it up geographically.
So you're in South Cherry Lynn.
I'm in South Cherry Lynn. 16th Street issues seem to affect us a little bit more than the interior sections. There is no major issues affecting us. There is no crime wave. There is no...
Well, I have to admit, from my perspective at the city council level, what we have worked with you all over the years successfully is to keep out more bars, to limit the number of liquor licenses over on 16th Street. And Pam, I know you've been a part of that effort for a long time, and you're one of the few neighborhoods that has successfully defeated liquor licenses several times.
We show up in numbers when we need to. We don't fight everything. You can't. You have to choose your battles. But I think we have been successful because when we do have a call to action, people respond to that. But also to add to what Tim was saying about 16th Street, we've been very fortunate that there is a new 16th Street Business Alliance. And that group is working very diligently to improve 16th Street and provide more cohesiveness to that area as well, which helps the neighborhoods.
It sure does. You can only be as strong as the periphery.
Right.
And it's really what the historic districts along 7th Avenue found years ago. As a matter of fact, 16th Street group is called Suite 16. Did I get that right?
I think that's
I believe
right.
That's correct.
Okay, kind of a great take on that. So tell me again, the big issues for this year, what is the leadership planning for Cherry Lynn?
Well, a couple of things. We've done in the past a very successful tree planting project throughout the neighborhood. We planted 16 trees, and you were kind enough to come
I was
for
there.
that.
That was great.
And we are planning a neighborhood tour just for our own neighbors because we're all curious about each other's houses, and we also want to use that as sort of a pilot program to determine if we want to do a public tour such as the Willow District or the Story District do. Because those are great fundraisers, it's also great visibility to residents who might not know about our neighborhood,
Absolutely.
about Cherry Lynn and its charms.
Sure, beef up your resale value as well. Which, by the way, from my perspective, it seems like it's really stable.
Very stable. People tend to stay.
Yeah.
It's a good neighborhood.
Yeah, so as opposed to the suburban neighborhoods, our historic districts are just truly stable, price-wise and resident-wise. So thank you for being a part of it. And thanks for being here today and kicking off our new series of focusing on historic districts.
Thank you. Glad
Thank
to
you.
do it.
All right, hopefully I get invited to your historic tour.
Absolutely.
Up next, a fun and free way to enjoy family, friends, and beautiful spring weather right along 7th Avenue in the Melrose District. Keep watching On the Issues.